The Kindle Clerk. A Christmas Carol in Electronic Prose. The municipal library was dead. There was no doubt whatever about that. The plan for its burial had been signed by the administrator of books, the treasurer, and finally, e-book and a Kindle, the town clerk, and his name was good upon anything to which he chose to put his hand. All books and reading were to become electronic, and the last library branch in the town book program were to be terminated. Both would be dead as a doornail. Of this, Kindle was certain. It was the closing hour, and he was suffering the blowing airs of December on his way to his vehicle when two portly gentlemen intercepted him, with heads bowed and papers in their hands. They spoke to the clerk. "Mr. Chapters, I believe," said one of the gentlemen, referring to his list of names. "Have I the pleasure of addressing Mr. Chapters?" "Chapters has been well and gone these many years," Kindle the clerk replied. "He left with a whimper and now sells housewares, greeting cards, and confections and shuns books, other than that of the discount kind. Ah, but we have no doubt his liberality, love of books, and interest in reading are well represented by your office," said the younger gentleman, presenting his credentials. At the menacing word liberality, Kindle frowned, shook his head, and pushed the credentials back. "In this cruel season of the year, my clerk, it is more than usually desirable that our town should make some slight provision for the laid-off librarians and book handlers, who suffer greatly," said the gentleman, taking up a pen. "Many are in want of common necessaries. Hundreds are in want of gainful employ. Are there no oil fields in western lands?" asked Kindle. "Plenty of oil fields in the bitter regions of the north and the barren grounds of the west," said the gentleman, laying down the pen again. "And the union-free, big-box stores?" demanded the town clerk. "Are they still in operation?" "They are, still," said the gentleman. "I wish I could say they were not. The fish and chip shops and the burger mills are in full vigor, then?" said the clerk. "Both very busy, sir." "Oh, I was afraid, from what you said at first, that something had occurred to stop them in their useful course," Kindle said. "I'm very glad to hear it is not the case. With the view that such part-time and seasonal employ brings scarce Christian cheer to mind or body," returned the gentleman. "A few of us are endeavoring to raise a fund to provide the laid-off book handlers some means for retraining and transitioning to other circumstance. We choose this time, because it is a time, of all others, when cold and want are keenly felt and year-end budgets are being tallied. What shall I put your office down for?" "Nothing," Kindle the clerk replied. "You wish to make it in the name of the town? I wish to be left alone. Since you ask me what I wish, gentlemen, that is my answer," said the clerk. "I begrudge the leave my own staff take, and I won't support former librarians in their idleness. The town, through its works and purchases, helps to support the establishments I have mentioned, and those who are badly off due to electronic publishing and are in need of employment must go there. Many can't go there, and it is not their field of business," said the older of the two gentlemen. "Well, their book business is not the book business of the future," the clerk returned. "And it's enough for a man to understand real business, and not to be concerned with dying ones. This new book and reading trend occupies me constantly. But for those who are aged and have devoted decades to their former book-handling trade, it would be near impossible to adjust to the work you have proposed, sir," said the other man. "And many would rather leave the labor force altogether." "If they would rather do so," said Kindle the clerk, "they had better do it immediately, and make rapid and permanent the decrease in the publicly funded workforce. Good afternoon, gentlemen." Seeing clearly that it would be useless to pursue their point, the gentleman withdrew. The tower bell rang, and Kindle the clerk continued down the snow-covered steps to his limo, now in an even more self-satisfied temper than usual. Yet the dull, moaning conversation, the recitation of the tedious reasoning for library closures, and the lateness of the hour pushed Kindle toward much need of repose. When he arrived at the manor house that eve, He went straight to bed without undressing, slid on the button to his e-book, and stared at the flickering light all the while cursing the feeble, fractured Tiny Toons audio feature. He fell asleep in frustration, his thumb pressed upon the shuffle button. Kindle drifted in and out of consciousness throughout the night, each time awaking to the dark haze around his bed. His e-book glowed like the moon through a bedroom window and was speaking in a faltering electronic voice that seemed inhuman. It worked over the words in a ruthless, methodical fashion that disturbed the very marrow in his bones and softened his mind. On the first occasion, the glowing book had been speaking to Kindle all the hours preceding by drawing from the previously unaccessed, but free with the purchase Classics collection, Huckleberry Finn, Gulliver's Travels, Robinson Crusoe and other books of the like. Kindle clasped his device and stared at the spectre-like screen. "I was bred with these books," he whispered. "I was a boy when the school librarian introduced me to them." He recalled how the kindly, old book-handling woman had recognized his loneliness and showed him the power of stories that illuminate and embolden. With this recollection, he was, in an instant, connected with 1,000 thoughts, hopes, and joys long, long forgotten. His lip trembled, a droplet ran down his cheek, and he smiled. Depleted by the thoughts, Kindle drifted back to sleep, his finger gently touching the screen once again. When his cell phone rang notice of impending battery failure, Kindle awoke for a second time that night. Now, he emerged from the unconscious to the reverberation of present-day readings, the Da Vinci Code, Tipping Point, South Beach Diet, Freakonomics, and books aimed at enhanced financial affairs and personal happiness. Having purchased and read these works on varied occasions under varied impulses and with no reference other than fleeting gratification, Kindle had never before recognized a pattern and commonality to these works. Now, with the faltering, Tiny Toons voice chanting them as an ensemble, he at once realized the blending of desire and falsehoods in works that amuse and distract, but do little to advance the common welfare and proclaim ennobling truths. "Spirit of the touch screen," said Kindle, shaking the e-reader in his hands. "I wonder how you, of all the things in the world about us, should desire to mock a man's inclinations to innocent reading enjoyment." The bowels of the instrument rattled, clanged, and emitted foul odors. Its grating voice resumed with full vigor, drawing on web links, internet news, and YouTube videos. "How is this possible?" said Kindle. "I must have downloaded some bad bits, crumbs, and rotted biscuits with the disabled Tunes player." The sound echoed through the bedroom and increased the disarray in Kindle's mind. 50 Shades, Miley Cyrus, My Cat Peeing in Toilet, Gaga, Bieber's Haircut, said the shimmering spectre of metal and light. Amazon.com, eBay, Google. Kindle pleaded with it to stop. "No, you device of the devil. Oh no, no. Please cease." But the harder he squeezed the touch screen, the louder and more rapid its spewings became. Seeking reason in the Kindle thought of his first 2 encounters that night, those being with books of the present and the past. Are you the book of the future, the reading yet to come? Is this what is being foretold? Said Kindle to the thin slab of silver in his hands. The spectre resumed the dirge and floated out more words upon the bleak, dark night. The Kardashian Christmas card, mixed martial arts, Trump tweet, Kim Jong-un basketball, friend me, sputtered the device. Shop online, click here to buy now. Spirit, Kindle cried, tight clutching his e-reader. Hear me. Cease now. Kindle had no impact on the device, but he became sensible to the confused sounds of lamentation. Although Kindle was still unsure as to why and whither his e-reader had gone awry, he came to comprehend what it was saying. It started as a hissing whisper at the back of his head, growing in a wrenching, hideous crescendo. Ignorance and want. Ignorance and want. Ignorance and want. The future books of this device beseech ignorance and want, he screamed. They confuse with falsehoods and implore our spending on wants we did not know we had, Kindle concluded with a gasp. Would that someone steps forth to guide mankind through this mire and warn us of the doom written in these multitudinous words. The world needs more librarians. Librarians, he now saw, were not mere handlers of bound paper and cards, but guides who organize information and knowledge and make it accessible to the masses. Their skills have value that can be transformed and can transform our sorry world. And with this, he collapsed, fell back onto the bed, and into his thrice interrupted slumber. The next morning, Kindle was so fluttered and so glowing with thoughts and intentions that he leapt from bed still wearing his clothing from the day before and headed for the town hall. I'm as giddy as a drunken man, he said aloud. Arriving at the office, he spotted a boy in the finance department, the little weasel-faced one who arrives early and leaves late each day. Boy, do you know the decree that we signed on Friday last to close the municipal library? Said Kindle. The big one that was to be unveiled by the mayor this week. I should hope I do, said Weasel Face. I drafted the briefing notes myself and I have it sitting on my desk for processing this morn. What a delightful boy, said Kindle laughing. What an intelligent young man. Go, tear it up. What are you mad? Said the boy. I am in earnest. Go and tear it up, and bring the scraps to me that I may give you direction on the matter, said Kindle. The boy packaged the torn pieces in an envelope and delivered them to the town clerk within the hour. In the clerk's office, Weasel saw Kindle smiling and typing out a new proposal. Lad, I want you to run this document to the mayor for his signature today, said Kindle. Tell him that I have had an epiphany and come to realize the value of our city librarians, the great good they can deliver in the age of burdensome information and nonsense. And I have withdrawn our decree to close the library, tell him. I have a new strategic operating review plan. It will recognize the valuable asset we have here in the library. It will recognize the important work of librarians. It will make money and reduce the town debt. Here is my plan. We will not close the library. We will sell the library as a going concern. Perhaps, to avaricious local men of business. Of perhaps to an establishment in Asia with inexpensive labor and few paid holidays. With this thought and plan, Kindle, the town clerk became, in a manner, merry. As his own heart laughed with knowledge that he had come upon a means of finding value in a library. And he did sell the library to offshore interests. The Tiny Tunes app did die, and Kindle found that the comfort of his own tablet and his fire were quite enough for him, and he felt that he knew how to keep amused, as well as any man alive, because he had been so blessed with wit, and now with searchable words electronic. The end.